if you really believe, ain't gotta talk about it. You heard about what happens when you talk about it.
Yes, let's talk about it. Like J. Cole said, let's talk about it. Now, have you been to my website, viecine.com? I do daily blogs and weekly vlogs, like the one I'm doing right now. And my vlogs are bomb.
If I do say so myself.
So please check them out at www.vieisme.com. www.vieisme.com. Also, if you don't know, I am in the process of self publishing my very first book. I am getting my life by telling my life. I am exposing abuse and trauma. I know it affects many, many people across racial lines, economic lines, generations, and I took a stand to expose my truth and hoping that it will help others share their truth. So it's kind of like a passive forward type of deal, a journey into finding yourself. So definitely check out the content I have on my website. I want you to be just as involved as I am and make this a community thing. So definitely check it out. And if you do like my content, please share, 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 share as always. And if you want to support me getting my book out there faster, definitely drop a donations. And don't forget to subscribe. So this video is going to be about my perception of, or maybe I should say my perspective on the recent events in Black America. I guess I'll title this video The State of Blackness. And let's be all the way real. None of what's going on right now is new. Now, to my generation, the Y generation, we've never experienced something like this as tragic and as vivid as any time period of our lives. I'm 24. I'm a 92 baby. So we haven't really experienced anything like this. We really thought, oh, that was in the past. It's desegregation. We got white friends. We can intermingle. We could swirl. Ain't nothing really bad. And then I guess when you become a teenager, you really fill out the system how things are. You find things are not necessarily fair. And some people get preferred treatment. But now as an adult, you realize this system is all the way effed up. Everything that you were taught, everything that you were told was completely bogus. And now you're trying to find how to be not necessarily safe or find a niche or coon, but you're trying to find your place, or not necessarily your place, but where in the system can you stay? And I'll even get into it like you go get an education, you graduate college, you get a job, and you realize that even when you do the right thing, you just got brainwashed by a white university so you can work for white employment. And once you get there, you realize that it's racist. You realize that your white co-workers can do whatever they want to do, but if you ever thought that you could, you'd either find out many write-ups in HR, your co-workers snitching on you, your co-workers demeaning you, and these could be people at a lower level than you, and they feel like they can talk to you as if you're just an intern or something. You find out that people are getting higher positions, or they are moving up. Maybe you both started at the same time. You're a Black person, they're a white person, and they seem to just keep on climbing. Or you end up training someone who ends up being your boss, or someone who is underneath you and you started way before they started, and they seem to steadily rise. And if that's not even the case, you may be like me, young and Black and ambitious, but you're underemployed or unemployed, and you just find that this system does not like you, and everything that you were told, like I said, was completely false. But now we are struggling. We're seeing that this wave of fighting justice and seeking justice and just wanting to live did not die out with Martin Luther King, did not turn over with the 1964 Act. Like, we are still going through the same bullshit. And I think with this generation, we are brave, we have a lot of heart, but we are startled because we didn't think we would live this. We really thought it would be a PBS Kids world where all that was in the past, things are great now, my best friend's white, or my girlfriend's white, or, my neighborhood's white, or whatever the case may be. You just thought that we are just swirly, diverse, rah rah human race. And you realize that that is complete bullshit. And with recent events with Alton Sterling being murdered by Baton Rouge police, I really wanted to write a blog about it. My website is www.vieisme.com. And I just couldn't bring myself to write about it. And if you don't know, I'm a writer, and I'm actually going to release my first self-published book titled Memoirs of a Forgotten Child on Amazon Kindle. And I just couldn't write about it. And it's not like I'm not good with my words. I can talk your ear off if you let me. And I'm always opinionated. That's just my nature. But I really couldn't write it because it was just like, how do you put that into words? How do you put your emotions into words? Like, what do you say to really capture what you're thinking? And then before I could even like go and digest this, you have Philando Castile in Minnesota who was gunned down. And truth be told, I saw that video a couple of times on my timeline, but I didn't want to watch it. And it's crazy because I could watch Purge, I could watch violent movies, and I guess because I'm desensitized, I'm just like, nah. And part of me knows they're acting. Part of me knows that this is a movie. This is a television show. Like, this isn't real. But seeing blood gush from someone's abdomen, that's real. Knowing that that's real, that's not going away. That person will never be seen alive again. I couldn't watch that. It's when it started trending and people were talking about it. And still to this day, as I'm making this video, I have not watched it. I just can't bring myself to watch that. I did see the Alton Sterling shooting, the first video. I did not see the second video because I heard it was a whole lot more gruesome, so I'm just not. And then you had Piedmont Park in Georgia, I believe, where a black man was found hung. And then you had a few more other shootings, and it was just like, I just need time to process, and I can't even process. And then you had Micaiah Johnson in Houston, who some people are like, he's a planted agent. There's nothing about him. Black people can't take on this shooter thing. We're not good at that. Even though we had Christopher Donner back in like 2013, 14, who went and, killed people and was eventually killed by the California police. So it's not like black people haven't done that before. Like, black people haven't shot at people in a racist society. But even with him being an agent, not being an agent, it was just like more death upon death, more confliction, more racism, more just everything. And right now, it's like police officers are like, oh, we could do what we want to do to you. And it's completely justified because we live in the system that is rah white supremacy, and we're the men in blue. You want to shoot at us back? We will bury ours and we will mourn. But now you thought a few police killings here and there were bad? Oh, it's extermination 2.0. So now you hear more stories of police officers coming out and showing their racism. You have a couple of them threatening people. There's a police officer, I forget where, who was threatening a 5-year-old on Facebook, and the police department, I think, fired him. And you're seeing that there's a whole lot more angst between these two groups, black people and the police. And it's always been like that. Let's be honest. The police department started off of slave patrols. So this is nothing new. And then you had the police officer, Nakia, I believe, and she came out and she talks about her disapproval of what's been going on and how she doesn't agree that if you are not from the community, you cannot police the community. And I have to agree with that. You can't be from the burbs and patrol the hood, because you're already in a situation in your mindset where you're like, oh, it's the hood. They're different from me. They look different from me. They act different from me. So I'm always on high alert. While I'm in the hood as a black person, I see little girls jump roping. I see adolescent boys playing basketball. I see older men kicking and playing dominoes. I see young women doing each other's hair and braiding. You see it as something's about to pop off. You see it as this is Iraq and there might be an explosive. You don't see these people. You don't know these people. You can't even say that's Grandma Johnson. She looks over the community, you know? That's like the pops to the younger dudes. Like, you don't know the atmosphere and you don't even take the time to get to know them, because ultimately these are not your people. This is not your community. You don't care. And there's a whole lot of not caring. So it's easy to look at someone and say they're automatically guilty, or it's easy to arrest this young dude and instead of telling this dude, like, look, I'm a cop. You know, it's best that you don't do X, Y, and Z. I want the best for you. I don't want you to get locked up. But then again, from what I heard, certain cops gotta make certain arrests. You have to meet that quota. It's not just, oh, if you do bad, we lock you up. It's like, nah, by in a month, I'm gonna need you to be arresting 50 people, and I'm gonna need you to target these blacks and these Hispanics. And this is the thing that people don't want to talk about unless a person exposes this, a police officer exposes this, or it just comes out. And it's like this mentality of, oh, they're boys in blue and they really care about the community and it's a few bad apples. No, it's a system that's bad. Because even black officers have said when they were outside of their boys in blue uniform, they were targeted. And they feared for their life, even though they're an officer themselves. They feared for their lives because they understood, I don't have the code. I don't have the detection of wearing the blue suit. I may or may not have a weapon on me. But if I sit there and I have the confidence and I speak my mind and I hold myself as a man and speak to this person like a man, he may take that as aggression and shoot me down. Later on, they may find out that I'm a police officer, but right now, I'm looking like the enemy to this person. And this is the system that we live in. And I see a lot of black people talking about we're going to boycott, which I do believe we should be boycotting. I mean, to be honest, we should have never stopped boycotting to begin with. But we should have been boycotting. And I feel like that's just a reaction to what's going on right now. I feel like as soon as this dies down, your favorite celebrity does something stupid, I don't know, something fun happens, it's going to die down and people are going to forget about boycotting. I made a post on Twitter and I was like, black people accept discrimination and racism because of convenience. Like, yes, this bodega is racist. However, I like my Doritos. So I'm going to feel it to get my Doritos. And, you know, if the clerk looks at me crazy or tells me pay and get out, I may feel like that's disrespectful, but I got my Doritos. And I feel like a lot of black people take this type of abuse because it's convenient. It'd be harder for me to go across town, whether it's drive across town for an hour or hop on the subway for an hour and a half to go to that black business, then 15 minutes away down the street, I'm going to go to bodega. And we accept a lot of disrespect, and I feel like that adds on to why people disrespect us. They already disrespect us because we're black and they don't like us, and because we're poor, we really can't do anything. But now it's like, it's not like you're going to raise up, and people who bully like that their victims are weak. They perceive them as weak, so they continue. Bullies don't just stop bullying because you said stop. No, they continue unless you hit them upside the head and they're like, okay, you're not the one to play with. And a lot of people see black men as aggressive, but they know that the equal, not even equal, the ultimate is the gun. You can't come back after you've been shot to death. So they may be scared because of the black skin and because you have bass in your voice, but they can always neutralize that with a bullet. And don't get me wrong, I am not soft shoe cooning. I'm not making excuses. What I am saying is this system is completely fucked up. Totally and completely fucked up. And I feel with my generation, we're the ones eating what the generation before us and the civil rights didn't completely exterminate. The generation before us was right after the civil rights generation, and they were the ones who beat into our heads, go to college, get good grades, do the right thing, yada, yada, yada. And their parents were the ones who were either marching or watching from the sidelines or became Panthers or whatever the case may be. And that situation wasn't all the way fixed. Because we had desegregation and because we had integration and because we can intermarry and all that trivial, symbolic, social shit, we really thought things changed. And with my generation, it's like racism, white supremacy 2.0. It is totally, completely secured and packaged where we're like, what the fuck happened? And my generation, we're trying to figure out what to do because ultimately the other generations, they're really not going to fight like that. You may have a few who come into the mix and really want to do, but they're tied to the system. Like I've said in previous videos, they got mortgages, they got student loans like I do. They've got their job and their 401k. They are submissive to the system because the system takes care of them. The civil rights generation, like Henry, whatever the hell his name was, he was sitting here like, I've been beaten before, I've been thrown in jail before, but I've always respected the police. Basically saying, play your role, Negro. With my generation, we ain't got no 401k. We may or may not have student loans. We don't have a position within the system, so the system can't do any harm to us in the sense of, if you talk against us, we'll fire you. A lot of us are unemployed. You know what I'm saying? And there may be some people in our generation who are tied to the system, like let's say celebrities, but they're not the average black person. The average black person can speak their mind in my generation. And to take it to celebrities, yes, you have Beyonce, who did have a performance where she sung her song Freedom on the BET Awards too with Kendrick Lamar, but also during her concert with a plethora of names of black people who have been murdered by the system, and a lot of people gave her praise. And a couple of people like T.I. marched with Black Lives Matter in Atlanta, and a couple of people came out to speak their minds. But you also did have a few celebrities who were soft shoe cooning or full-fledged cooning. You had Freddie Wap One Eye talk about he has biracial children, so all lives matter, as if he has no idea that the one drop rule still applies, even if you like bright or mulatto or whatever case may be. You had, I think, Bobby Valentino, who we haven't heard since 2005, talk about slow down in them jeans. We haven't really, we wasn't even checking for him, but he came out the woodworks, not to put out a CD or let people know what he's up to, just to say all lives matter. You had Columbus Short, who is talking that all lives matter, and other celebrities. And truth be told, all lives matter. Not even just human species, animals, plants, funguses, whatever. All lives do matter. However, all lives are not being targeted like black lives. So at this specific time, it is black lives because black lives are being targeted. So yes, black lives matter. Does not mean that because we're talking about black lives matter, everybody else's lives doesn't matter, killed, cancer, whatever, we don't care. That's not what we're saying. We're saying at this moment in time, while these cops are trigger happy, black lives do matter. And they matter whether cops are trigger happy or we're kumbaya, utopia. Black lives matter. But when you say all lives matter, it's taking away from the focus that black people are being targeted. So you could say everybody else. And it's a slap in the face. Because you're saying take the focus off of what's going on, this hurt, this oppression, this targeting, this white supremacy, this racism. Take your focus off of that. So we can talk about things that aren't in focus. White lives are not being targeted like that, truth be told. Asian lives are not being targeted like that, truth be told. It's black lives are being targeted. It's Hispanic lives are being targeted. So that's why we say black lives. Not because everybody else is irrelevant, it's because at this moment in time, it's these trigger-happy cops coming after black people. And some of them are not even cops. George Zimmerman wasn't a cop. But a lot of people feel like celebrities should do more. And there are celebrities who do stuff in the background, like Jay-Z and Beyonce funded Black Lives Matter. And now today, some people are like, oh, Beyonce's a hypocrite because she had officers' names that died by Micaiah Johnson murdering them, they felt like she should have just stuck with Black lives and not care for the police officers. I don't really know what the thought process was for Beyonce. But then again, you got to understand Beyonce is not just no chick off the street. She's not just a little girl in the church singing. She's an international superstar with corporate backing. If she didn't salute the cops who were murdered, some people would question that. And she may lose backing, she may lose funding. And I'm not saying that she should make these people who may look at her funny happy by not recognizing Black lives. But some people may be like, hey, you did this for Black lives. What about cop lives? So I understand her balance. And truth be told, all lives that are being lost by murder is sad, especially if they didn't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? So I understand why she did that to a certain degree. Some people felt like, what's his name? LeBron should have came out and said some things. And LeBron got that Nike deal with Nike. He has that lifetime deal. So he really ain't gonna say much from now. He may, and I respect him if he does, but I'm not holding my breath. You know? Chris Brown came out and said something. August Alsina came out and said something. Other rappers and performers came out and said something. However, I think it's reactionary because let something come up. Let some Instagram thotty do the best twerk on the internet and our attention will shift to that. So I'm just, and then you had Carmelo Anthony who came out and said to all his fellow athletes, like, what do we do? No one has the answers right now, but what can we do? What plans can we make? It's up to us to stick together and change the current climate. And he actually said, to all his athlete buddies and to his enemies on the court, whatever the case may be, when it comes to sports, we all have to make a change. We all have to step up. Will they step up? I don't know. But what we are recognizing that in the past generation that they didn't recognize is we're all Black. Don't matter how light bright you are. Doesn't matter about your education. Doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter about your biracial kids. It doesn't matter how much money you make. Doesn't matter your Christian denomination. Doesn't matter none of that. Because they're targeting all of us. Even the celebrities who made it their mission to be like, who got this money, got this check, got this endorsement, I live in this house, I'm on TV, I don't really want to associate with social issues. They're coming out because they're realizing that there's nothing that separates us. Nothing. All that other stuff was so trivial, it doesn't even matter. And this is why I say that this is a pivotal point for right now, especially my generation, where it's like, are we going to set a different tone so our children and the future generation can live better and not have to deal with the same bull-ish that we're dealing with because the past generation didn't completely solve it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not all the way knocking the civil rights generation. And I'm not looking at the Panther Party and looking at them like they're weak or they failed. They tried. At the very least, they tried. We can all critique and make our judgments and make assumptions of what we would have done when we were back then. But like I said, I'm a 92 baby. I don't really know anything personally about the 80s because I wasn't there. Nor was I there in the 70s and 60s. So this ridicule and this knocking of people who actually stood up and did something says a lot about you, because we could always talk about what we would have done, but until you're in that situation, you have no idea what you would have actually done. But it doesn't mean that they're completely off hands where we can't make our critiques, our positive critiques, so we can do better and make a change and, incorporate it, whatever it was currently at this time. But the current state of Blackness is just chaos. It's chaos, it's hectic, it's emotional, really, really emotional at this time. A lot of people are scrambling to find out what to do. A lot of people are giving great suggestions like moving your money into Black banks, which is great, or credit unions. A lot of people are supporting black businesses that are in your neighborhood or in your state, even if it means driving a couple miles, if it means taking public transportation just to get a loaf of bread in the black part of town with a black business, whether it means buying things online. Like there are businesses that cater to everyone, but they're black owned businesses that do, I think, laundry detergent, um, toiletries, clothing, accessories, shoes. I am a writer. I'm writing my first. Well, I already written my first book, and it's going to be released on Amazon Kindle August 1st. It's titled Memoirs of Forgotten Child, and there's a lot of other businesses out there. And like I said, don't make it something that you just tolerate, like racism and white supremacy, because it's convenient. It's convenient to go to Walmart. It's convenient to go to the Nike shop. It's convenient to go to McDonald's. Don't be submissive to your oppression because it's convenient. Because you pay for that. And I have I do a lot of my thinking, and my deepest thoughts and my greatest ideas actually come from being in a shower. And I was thinking, I was like, you always pay for something. And when you think you're getting a discount or a deal, it's not that. When you cut yourself short where you're like, oh, I'm going to cut corners, you end up paying for it later because the price is always the price. Are you willing to pay for it up front or in the back end? Whereas black people today, we're paying the back end because we did not support each other like the way we should. We do not have any lobbyists. We don't have any politicians. We don't have anybody in corporate America who has black interest. So we are left vulnerable. They hate us because we're black, and they can practice white supremacy and oppression on us because we're poor. So if you think that you can escape, you're only fooling yourself. If we had it together in the beginning, we would have never been dealing with something like this. And if we did deal with a racist cop killing one of us, we could have always punished them with our conglomerate corporations, our businesses, our lobbyists, our politicians, our police chiefs who have black centered minds. We would have been like the Asians and the Jews. You couldn't go against us. But because we wanted to play with the system and look at it as something different than it's always been since the shores of Africa, we're paying for it. The price will always be the price. But instead of us paying for it with money, like we should have done, we're paying for it with black bodies, black death. We've given these companies enough of our money that we can go lifetimes without giving them our money. We have been giving Nike money for several lifetimes. They do not need any more of our money. We do not need to get any more J's or any other new sneakers. We got them. We good. We good. We are good. But the fact that Nike doesn't even give a damn about black issues, never spoke about black issues, never given money to any black movements, and for the fact that Negroes just kill each other for fucking trinket ass, trivial ass shit like sneakers, we no longer need to give Nike any of our money. When it comes to racist people pushing up racist propaganda like Fox News, we can complain about Tommy Dill Pickle. That's what I'm going to call her, Tommy Dill Pickle. She's a troll. Instead of getting upset and then passing on her videos, you're so upset about what she said that you felt the need to let everybody on your friends list see how upset you are about what she said, which is getting more views and more attention. I'm assuming more money, but you want to knock her down. It'd just be easier to just, dismiss her and let her go ashes to dust and be gone. Instead of getting upset about that, find out who supports her. Find out who sponsors her shows, who's the backing, and say, you know what, Chevrolet, I'm good. I don't need your cars. Burger King, having my way. How about no money going your way? How about figuring out who are really the backers and making sure they don't get backing? I'm pretty sure if they lose a lot of money, doesn't matter how racist they are, money speaks before all, and she won't be on television anymore, or any of these racist organizations. She just won't be here anymore. When the Wendy Williams came out of pocket and came out her mouth talking about, you know what? I don't understand why there are HBCUs. And the whole audience, which is, suburban America housewives who just sit on their asses and eat bonbons and watch daytime television, whether they were in the audience or at home, they were like, "Ooh, can't really support this now." And she's like, "Oh, you're gonna let me hang to dry?" And they were like, "Yeah, Wendy." Even them white folks were like, "Yeah, Wendy, we can't clap for that." And after her little ditzy moment, I think it was, I forgot what car company, but there's a car company. The president came from an HBCU, and she just pulled her backing from the Wendy Williams show. And I like that. It doesn't matter if it's a black person talking out of pocket or a white person talking out of pocket. You can speak what you want to speak because we do have the right to express ourselves. However, there will be consequences and backlashes, and obviously, you didn't want this money and this backing from someone who came from an HBCU campus, so therefore, you don't have to deal with that. She had to eat that. And then Roland Martin, who will snatch you all the way bald and read you your life intellectually, let Wendy know that, uh, please stop trying to be a Stacey Dash part two, and please read a book. And this is why we have black universities and black organizations, because we've never had that support. And also, when it comes to white universities, we don't have to say white universities are just universities. We never say Harvard, a white university. We just understand it's Harvard and it was started by white folks. So it is what it is. We say HBCUs because they were one of the few colleges and universities that were welcoming black people, and a lot of them were funded and supported and created by white people. Even the NAACP was founded with white people, and the first president was a white person, but she didn't know that she was talking out of pocket. She thought she was, smart as fuck, and Roland Martin let her know that she really wasn't. But like I said, with this generation, it's going to be up to the generation, because Wendy is part of the older generation. She's about to be 52. So, of course, she's going to align herself with the system because the system takes care of her. She got her radio show and now television show because of the system. So, she's going to say slick shit to keep the system happy. You really can't rely on the 40s and the 50s and older, even the 30-ish, because they align themselves with the system. The system takes care of them. It's us who are asked out, and it's us who are being targeted. A lot of killings of people and murdering of people, black people, they're young. They're not picking off the civil rights generation. They're picking off our generation. You notice that, right? They're going heavy on our generation. They're locking up heavy our generation. They're monitoring us. They're demonizing us. Everything we say we do, if they can't repackage it and remix it and corporatize it and market it and make money off of it and jock it, they'll demonize it and criminalize it. And there was a hashtag on Twitter talking about black skin is not a crime. And it's just crazy that we have to even say shit like Black Lives Matter and black skin's not a crime. Like, that should be obvious, but because we live in the system, it's not. And it's tiring, it's crazy, it's ridiculous. And you realize a lot of people who talk about, oh, we're all humans, we all come from Africa, we're all the human race, one race. They never come out when racist shit like this happen. You realize that, right? They never say nothing like this. They never say, oh, I don't know why all this racism exists. We're all one human race. You don't hear them while it's hectic and it's crazy and it's chaos and a lot of emotions, and it is just high emotions. You never hear them say these things. You realize that we all come from Africa. You don't hear these people during these times. They're just like in the cut, silent, just shh. But I guess that is my thoughts, because I'm running at like 30 minutes. And I guess that's all I'm gonna say about this right now. But tell me what some are the solutions you think we need to do, because it's no surprise we are in a really fucked up system, It ain't getting better anytime soon. I guess I'll throw in the Obama. I was kind of shocked Obama said something. I know he was in vacation in Europe, but usually Obama doesn't really say anything. He's just kind of there in the cut, and he's just like, "Ooh, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? Can I dance? Can I sing? Can I smile?" Because black people like that. But I don't want to offend white people. I was surprised that he actually said, Black lives do matter. I'm like, you actually acknowledged it, because when Trayvon was murdered, you said, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon, obviously, because you black and Michelle's black. You have black kids, obviously, they be black. But he never talks about black issues. He never supports black issues, at least not publicly. So for him to even come out the mouth and say that, I was just shocked. He said when he comes to America or the United States, he's going to Baton Rouge to support the police department, but he didn't say he was going to go and support Philando Casto's family. He didn't say he's going to support Alton Sterling's family. He didn't say none of that. So, he's still trying to appease people who don't give a damn about him, and obviously he's made his peace with who he's going to ride with. So I'm not really that all the way surprised. But like I said, we really need to support each other. We really, really need to support each other, whether it comes to the basic necessities in life, or not even that. We just need to support each other, period, point blank, period. Even if it's something we don't really necessarily need, support them. I went to a Caribbean expo and I had food at home, but I still supported. I didn't really have to go, but I still supported. It was cold. Anyways, that's not the point. The point was I supported because I want to support people who look like me, because I know it's hard to get support when you look like me. So how could I say Black Lives Matter or support black businesses, but I don't? A lot of people use that as a hashtag, as a slogan, support black businesses, but you don't. You don't. You don't go out your way to buy black. You will either complain about the customer service, or you'll complain about the prices, or you just flat out won't. But then talk about support black businesses. It's not just a slogan. It's not something that's thrown up in the air. You have to go out there, take your greenback dollars with dead slave owners, and exchange that for a product given to you by a black person, and you give them your greenback to them. You have to do that exchange. You can't just talk this shit. You have to live this shit. So I'm gonna leave it at there, because Lord knows I can go on, and I'm not really gonna do that. I just had to purge my thoughts and my emotions. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Did I touch on everything? There may be some things I left out, but fill me in. Do you agree with what I said? Do you agree that it is up to this generation to make that change? Because the older generation, they have found their niche. They're going to tell you the system ain't nothing wrong with them. This is just a few bad apples. We need to hug it out. We need to cut cops some slack. It ain't all them. The system's not all the way back. They're going to tell you whatever they got to tell you, because they comfortable in the system, because the system makes sure that they good. Do you agree that this generation has to make that change? This generation got to get it together. We got to come together. We got to leave that trivial ish behind. As a person from the Y generation, have you ever seen anything like this before in your lifetime? Not your mama, not your grandmama, your lifetime, because I really can't pinpoint a time where it's been like this and I was living. So let me know your comments below, and just anything in general. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Share this video on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you share interesting intellectual conversations. And please subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe, because this channel is dedicated to the Black experience, how I see it, but also because most likely than not, you're Black. So your experience matters just as much as my experience. And let's just dialogue about what's going on in your city, in your town, dialogue what's going on in this country, or just anywhere that Black people are existing or trying to exist. And as always, be blessed. And I am out. And definitely stay safe. I feel like at this moment in time, you have to stress being safe. Being safe and making sure you check up on each other, making sure someone is going to check up on you, and making sure that you go out with a group of people who are going to have your back. And if you ever confront anything that's scary, whether it's an angry mob, whether you feel out of place, whether you're in a sundown white town, or you're confronted by police. It's at this time where you gotta record everything. You gotta be like the NSA. You gotta record people. You gotta get this shit on tape so people don't plant no crack while they shoot you down, or they misconstrue your words, or whatever the case may be. You just gotta videotape everybody. It's just, we're just living at that time. But let me go.